We're back, ladies and gentlemen, because the last game of the night is coming your way right now. Game 3, the match point and the salty run back, Mr. Shane Gucher, and those eyebrows, waggle, waggle, waggle. Game 3, going back to Sky Temple, sir.
Yes, we are. So, Sky Temple, it's a map. It gets played on a lot.
Apparently.
a lot of teams love playing on this map.
Absolutely.
So, Cloud9 Vortex felt like they had that game within their grasp. A small misplay and big good play from Barrel Boys.
One good
really
play.
Is what snatched that win out of Cloud9 Vortex's hands. But nonetheless, man, we're going to see how they do second time around. What adjustments are these teams going to make to their draft? Are we going to see the exact same style coming out of them? We're going to see here as soon as they get drafting, which they just started not too long ago, and these guys are pulling the trigger quick. Cloud9 Vortex for the third game in a row, doing a respect ban on the Stitches, and Barrel Boys once again banning out the Rhaegar.
And that is leading us to the repeat first pick Vala, the repeat Uther, the repeat Tyrande, the repeat Tassadar, and the repeat Illidan. This is 100% game number 2. Are we doing deja vu, Mr. Shane Gucher?
So far, it's going to look like it, man. The big thing is
What do they do after this? What did the Barrel Boys go after that? ETC? They did Jaina, ETC, and Jaina, Diablo. ETC was on the other side.
Yes.
So if this is going to be 100%, they are going to do a Jaina Diablo. There's the Diablo, their frontliners. Some fantastic apocalypses, by the way, last round.
Yes, I second guessed it, but obviously they performed very well with it, man. They're Artosis. Damn you, Artosis. damn you, picking that off. And no Sergeant Hammer yet, man. This is Sergeant Hammer's best map. She's not banned out. Same situation as last game. Looks like these teams just don't put as much priority into Sergeant Hammer or Nazebo as other teams. They're both very strong heroes, very effective heroes, and can do a lot of damage. Barrel Boys is definitely talking this one through, though. Or they're just being dramatic. This is a dramatic pause. Okay, so this time they are going to pick up the Sergeant Hammer. I know you're happy, Sean.
Yes!
So, Sergeant Hammer puts out absurd damage. The numbers she can get up to is just absolutely insane, both siege damage and hero damage.
Yep.
This is by far the best map for her. If she can get herself entrenched into a good position on top of one of those temples, it is so hard for any team to initiate into that, because it's either, okay, we're going to have to sit here and fight for the temple. Oh my.
Wow,
and
the
fight
run back is so salty.
Fight for the temple, or I'm at a loss for words. Once again, man, the Lily pickup. Hey, it was great for them, man. Once they got to the late game, they got that Kung Fu hustle. They put the hustle on, and this is the only discrepancy so far is Sergeant Hammer.
Is this where the Barrel Boys go Zeratul?
Yes, it is, actually. This is totally where the Barrel Boys go Zeratul.
We just trade out Elsa for Sergeant Hammer, more or less, and we go forward from there. But, I mean, Shane, you're... it's not quite. They are going to actually jump down on McIntyre, saying no more for you. But, doth my eyes deceive me? Nay, it is the Game 2 composition in the exact same picks order from Cloud9 Vortex. They're saying, we can win with this. Just watch us. No Malfurion needed. No Rhaegar. We don't need to first pick your Tyrande. This is our game. Can the Barrel Boys, with their new lineup, actually deal with it? That's going to be the big question.
I actually like their lineup here better than the one they had in Game 2. And they won Game 2. So with that being said, I'm just going to favor Barrel Boys in this match. The way they've been playing, yes, I mean, they've only dropped one game this whole entire series, and that was versus Cloud9 Vortex in Game 1. It was a very well-played game by Barrel Boys. They were ahead a majority of the match, and just a couple missteps in the late game is the reason they lost. So I still feel like Barrel Boys are the favorite going into this. Sergeant Hammer is so absurdly good on this map due to the reasons I talked about. Once she gets entrenched in the temple, you can't just recklessly run over to Sergeant Hammer to try to pick her off, because then you're just going to get destroyed by the time you get there. But you can't sit on top of the temple and allow Sergeant Hammer to just barrage you and kill you. So
absolutely,
it's gonna be hard for Cloud9 Vortexes to find good initiations. They have the ability to do so, assuming that ETC goes stage dive. But besides that, what else do they have that can really get into the backline and punish their Sergeant Hammer pick? I don't know.
Well, it's really going to come down to, ETC and Illidan getting in there. Lily has to really make sure that she doesn't get hit by these apocalypses this time. And like so many of those apocalypses in our last game from the Barrow Boys, just straight up canceled, straight up canceled the cups. And that is 2 heroics for the price of 1. That is a great deal that the Barrow Boys capitalized on to a win for that game number 2. So going into this game number 3, Cloud9 Vortex has to be sending a message here because they drafted the exact same order in the exact same sequence. And that means that they're really out to prove. I feel like they're really out here to prove that they can do this, and all the onus is on them. Of course, Barrow Boys, they don't want to lose. They said if it ain't broke, don't fix it. They get their core 3, core 4, and now they don't have that reset from Zeratul. I mean, the Zeratul pressure was actually phenomenal from McIntyre last round. Can the Hammer, match that? In terms of pressure, it's a different type. So I'm a little concerned for the Barrows, whereas you're favoring them.
It's definitely going to be a change of play style for them with the Hammer, but that's a play style that they're well familiar with. They're acclimated to it. They know how to perform with it. They've had a lot of success with it. So we're going to see here, Sean, who's going to win. This is it. Game, set, and match for ESL week number 14. Go4Heroes America, Heroes of the Storm. This is esports, ladies and gentlemen. Let's introduce these teams. The gates are a-dropping. The heroes are getting into the lanes. Blinks is going to be playing Uther. On Tyrande is Kianda. Once again, been playing a phenomenal Tyrande the entire tournament. McIntyre on Jaina. Trummel on the Sergeant Hammer. And Arrow on the Diablo.
Now, on the flip side, these guys, they won the first game with a very late game comp. They were looking strong to take it 2-0 last round. Give it up for one half of the Cloud9 teams in Heroes of the Storm. It is Taza into the top lane. Zizix, Bobby Hankill, and Syracuse holding it down in the mid. And Fan 3 for 3 on that Illidan pickup. Cloud9 Vortex is looking to take the first place seed, $100, and the bragging rights home tonight.
So we got a little bit of a 3v3 down here in mid lane, which is pretty standard, if I do say so. And that's, again, the middle temple just has a little bit more priority, does a little bit more damage, can get you a little bit more experience. So therefore, that's going to make teams put more priority into the lane closest to it. And that's the mid one. A little bit of a rotation here. Illidan was sweeping down to the south bottom lane, but he's just going to immediately return right up here. And the stalemate Mexican standoff continues. Taking a look at the solo lane, ETC versus Diablo in top. ETC absolutely is the favor in that lane. Diablo's very tanky, but ETC has the sustain, while Diablo does not. Sergeant Hammer versus Tassadar, though, that could, it's an interesting fight. They both have good wave clear, and they both have the ability to push the lane and keep the lane from being pushed in. Right here at the mid-watch tower, a little bit of a fight going on.
Yeah, Fan is going to be actually out, just trailing out through Blinks, but we do got the double heals arrow there for the PO as well, and we're getting a little bit too close to those gates, so Illidan will actually just back off on that one. Zizix and Fan going to be holding down this mid. Last time what we saw was that both teams were content just to kind of keep them one to the other, so I'm not thinking that we're going to be seeing a lot of contention for these points. I think it will just be Barrow Boys content to take the top, and it will be Cloud9 content just to take the mid. You can see Sergeant Hammer has not left the bottom lane. You can see Syracuse is down there as well. Everybody is in a lane if they're not on a temple, just trying to accrue the maximum amount of experience that they can for their teams.
So looking at the level 4 talents, standard, and more standard. The only small discrepancy, I would say, is the level 4 choice on Jaina. Generally, it's between Envenom and Arcane Intellect, with Envenom being picked a little more often than Arcane Intellect. And McIntyre, McIntyre and the Jaina is going to favor that Arcane Intellect a little bit more. Whenever I see Arcane Intellect being picked up on the Jaina, it definitely makes me look into the level 13 talent choice. Is this something she's going to synergize with Icy Veins? Now, Sprint is usually the go-to talent choice for Jaina because it allows her to have offensive utility, but more importantly, defensive utility, as Jaina is a very susceptible to any sort of hard initiation, has a very low HP pool. With Arcane Intellect, if McIntyre is feeling really confident with this Jaina pickup, she can go Icy Veins at level 13, and the Arcane Intellect is going to synergize well with that because it's going to return her that mana and give her enough mana to just blast away with those Cone of Cold and those Frostfalls.
So I'm looking at the Merc pressure. We're seeing very similar rotations that we saw in game number 2 when we were on Sky Temple as well. Bottom lane, we do get our easies at more or less the same time. Kianda and Trummel pick up the slack. Fan is out there. He's getting these top bruisers. We're going to be looking for the timing for the bottom tempo, which should be spawning just any moment now. Airho's going to be up here as well, but we also now have movement going towards the blue barrel bruisers. And they're going to be looking to push out top. Now, last time, I want to say that we actually did fight out at the temple. We might differentiate that from here. I mean, Airho has to try to deal with this top lane push. We might actually have the barrels go down to the temple, whereas we have Cloud9 push out top. We might have an engage up here at top, or we could just see something else. I mean, but at this point, it is a very big amount of pressure coming out from Vortex.
One thing to be said, Fan has been playing a little bit more defensive, and thank the Lord, because the last 2 games he was playing a little, just unfortunately, a little bit too deep in the water sometimes.
Yeah, he was the first blood both games.
Yeah, and got picked off both of the games, and now he's sticking with his team. He's not overextending, and no kills so far. At the 4.5-minute mark, here is that second temple phase at the bottom lane. Sergeant Hammer already there, which is a smart choice. Talked about why she's so strong when she gets entrenched in those positions. Now, Cloud9 Vortex absolutely are going to get level 10 well before Barrel Boys. So Barrel Boys got to be careful with their timing here. The moment level 10 is achieved by Cloud9 Vortex, they cannot take a fight. They're going to have to retreat.
Yeah, with the Barrel Boys down here in full force, it's very likely going to be their tempo. We don't have Taza as of yet, but as you said, level 10, it's almost guaranteed going to be a stage dive. Airho will have no choice but to just push out the top. And it really comes down to how many kills can Cloud9 Vortex get with those heroics.
So, stage dive is here. This is a great position for Cloud9 Vortex, and I think Barrel Boys recognizes it. They're not committing, they're just kind of poking and soaking down here in the bottom temple, trying to mitigate the damage that's going to be done by it. And so far, they've done an okay job. They don't have a mule, so this damage is permanent, and that is true for both teams. Now, here comes the rotation, though. Diablo is making his way down to the bottom lane. ETC can stage dive at any point in time. There's the initiation. There go Duncan and Zix. There is the stage dive in the backline, but Lily gets destroyed. Holy cow, Sean. Now Pianta is next on the list, but without their healings to score, can they sustain this team fight without getting just completely turned around? And it looks like so far they can. Fan using the first aid, keeping himself alive, going to parkour himself over Trummel and retreat. Looks like a 1-for-1 exchange, even fight for these teams.
Yeah, the capitalization on the Lily was basically the end of that fight. We had some really good turnaround on top of the Tyrande, but she is more or less a stick figure at this point in the game. There's just not enough heal for her. The bigger problem for Cloud9 Vortex is that Trummel was virtually untouched that entire fight. He's getting pot shots off to the side, napalm strikes into the back line, and he was able to just do so much damage. The tempo more or less did go the way of Cloud9 Vortex. You can see this bottom lane absolutely got wrecked. But the last few shots there did actually end up into the Barrel Boys' pocket. The top push did take out that that gate into the top, put some fort damage up as well. And the 1 kill for 1, it's not quite enough to bring us to parity with the experience, but the barrels are not really dropping position despite what it might have looked like there on the map.
The boss still up for grabs here, but none of these teams are, none of them have their bags packed and ready to go to Throw City quite yet. Bottom lane under pressure with these Siege Ogres. Trummel is pretty low on mana, 2/3 HP. Got to be careful as ETC and Illidan can dive real hard on him, though he obviously can get away with knocking him back and boosting himself away. Both teams looking to secure themselves level 13 before the next temple phase. And that's exactly what they're going to do. Level 13 here for Cloud9 Vortex. Relentless coming out of ETC. Usually we see the speed bonus, the Rockstar aura, coming out from him at level 13.
Yeah, absolutely needs it. I mean, we got
agreed.
Everybody there has a CP. Even the mines. The mines are slows. So the Relentless, it's a really good pick. And looking at those picks, Airho is not going to be living out of that one. We even got a Metamorphosis out from the Illidan. Fan now going on top of Kiana. As I said, she is a stick figure, and there is nobody here to peel. Fan will solidify the double kill. Looking now on top of McIntyre, but he is going to just get pushed away by the Diablo. But 2 kills and a fort will put us in very, very good position for this mid-game. Cloud9 Vortex are thinking, all right, now it's time for some siege tank fun. Trummel dropping down to half, has no healer here, has to use out those thrusters. If he didn't have those in the bag, could have been a nice, quick hat trick. And now with people dead on the board, Cloud9 should be able to take at least one of these temples for free.
Yep, they can take one of these temples, maybe afterwards fall back to a bruiser camp. Though with Airho being Diablo, he was up and back to the fight, the front lines in no time. So they're all 5v5, most heroics are up We'll be up here in no time. At least before the next big team fight. And all right, Barrel Boys taking a big gamble. They're gonna be getting this boss, but at the same time, top lane is getting pushed in by Cloud9 Vortex. I do not think that a boss is gonna be a good exchange for 2 tier 2 towers and potentially the Bruiser camp and the keep. So they gotta get this boss down, they gotta get down quickly, and they all gotta retreat. That's exactly what they're doing.
Yeah, and Cloud9 is really pushing this top point home. We got that cross-map laser onto this bottom fort. And it is actually the mid area now being sieged out by the Barrel Boys. But everybody has come back home. They did get that boss, so the Barrel Boy boss will be barreling down that bottom lane. And we should really make that into a tongue twister at one point. But, you know, the defenses here, Barrel Boys are going to be okay. The bigger problem is that they're looking at 16 on their opponents. And if Cloud9 Vortex takes a significant fight while they're up on that talent tier, that could be the momentum they need to finish up the game.
Sky Temple has what I like to call the Blackheart's Bay effect. And what I mean by that is once a team establishes themselves a significant advantage on more than one front. So right now, Cloud9 Vortex has the experience front going for them, as well as the map pressure front going for them. They can play to the map and just win by not necessarily forcing team fights, but just outmaneuvering the enemy team, picking up the temples, getting, you know, one temple while they get one, and just kind of exchanging. But when you're ahead and you're doing even exchange, when it comes to those temples, it's always going to favor. Right here, Fanny's be careful. The Apocalypse, the Divine Storm, he's going to get blown up. That is a great turnaround from Barrel Boys. This is something they needed as they are down in talent, but now they are up. Oh man, Arrow has to be careful. He's down at about 2/3 HP. Archon was used, a Lunar Flare on a Bobby Hank kill, but there's not going to be much follow-up from it. So good job by Barrel Boys. They caught Fan completely out of position. The Apocalypse and a Divine Storm secured the death on him, and this is going to give Barrel Boys a little bit of breathing room, a little bit of time to get themselves a little more pressure on the map and get these lanes pushed out.
And Bobby Hankill, he's going to be dealing with that aftermath from the boss. The bottom keep gate is nowhere to be found anymore. Still only a lone tower to defend. And that's a really good pickup from Barrel Boys because now they have hit their level 16. They don't have to deal with a 5-man team fight from Cloud9 while they're down that talent tier. Now they do have their level 16s, and doth my eyes deceive me. Executioner from Sergeant Hammer to go with, as I said, everybody on this team has a CC. Executioner with those auto attacks is hitting 40% harder. I'm almost going to call a Nexus Frenzy. I mean, we saw Advanced Lava Strike last round, but with an Executioner, Trummel will not give that up.
Oh man. So yeah, normally we see either extended range or the hover siege, and we're just seeing a big right-click build out of the Sergeant Hammer. And taking a look at the numbers, Sergeant Hammer is 4,000 damage ahead of anyone else on the map in damage, with Vala being at 20,000. And it's not very usual when you see a Sergeant Hammer just outclassing a Vala with damage. Bobby Hay kills Vala. What? Good lord. He gets torn apart, and now another. This is a big misplay from Cloud9 Vortex. The following down now, Taza stage dive in the backlines. Just a big delay there. Two down for Cloud9 Vortex. Barrel Boys gotta be just licking their chops right now. This top lane is already under pressure. There's a good chance that this top heap is gonna be going down here.
Okay, so I gotta use words here. Vala vaulted into that to try to catch the hammer, and then we saw the stage dive. Was that supposed to be timed? Was there supposed to be a follow-up? Illidan was nowhere near. Illidan, however, is trying to do his best to mitigate damage control and push in at the same time, but we got this mid fort about to drop, and that's going to be a top heap because we just have still these death timers starting to rack up. Level 18 height for both teams at the 12-minute mark. It's not game-ending timers, but I have no idea what to even call that. That's not brave. That was just foolish.
Very much so, though Cloud9 Vortex is a team that we've seen come back from mistakes like that before. Hopefully it's not going to cause too much of a problem because the experience is still pretty even, though as far on the front of map pressure and map objectives, definitely favoring Barrel Boys right now. That top keep going down, the middle keep being susceptible as the tier 2 tower and the gate are both about to be knocked over. And it looks like they're just going to fall back to the Siege Ogres, apply some pressure in this bottom lane, force a response out of Barrel Boys. And right now, we're probably just going to see a little bit of passive play out of these teams until they either hit level 20 or the next temple phase. The boss is up in 25 seconds, so I don't know if we're going to make it any travels quite yet.
Now, Zizix and Fan, they're going to be going up here looking to grab that watchtower. The next tributes are... I don't actually remember where the end of the set phases and then the randoms kind of set in, but we're going to be looking at least, I want to say, 2 temples coming up next. So next team fight. Well, okay, I'm just going to go with 2 for now, just as a conservative guess, but 2 temples, if anybody loses the next team fight and both of them go the way, I mean, we're looking at dead keeps from either side on the back of a really good team fight, which could catapult either team to 20. I mean, it's a very key and critical time in this match to not make those mistakes. And if we see a Vala vault again, if we see Taza overzealously extend with the stage dive, we're going to say goodbye to Cloud9 Vortex.
Hopefully that was just a little bit of a transient event, as we call in the medical field. Something like that's not going to happen again. And yeah, just as we both expect, both these teams haven't passive play. They're both posturing a little bit, but neither of them want to commit. They're both level 19. Experience is damn near even. And this is a big moment that you were just talking about, Sean. Both of these temples, we do have 2 temples, middle lane and bottom lane. Though an initiation possibly from Barrel Boys. They were looking for stage dive in the bottom lane, soaking. He's utilizing that global presence that he has with the stage dive appropriately and trying to get themselves an experience advantage, get that level 20 beforehand, and maybe try to get themselves a temple and a team fight. Though he's going to be sweeping down to the bottom lane and picking that up. Barrel Boys is going to be getting this middle temple with maybe a little bit of poke and soak here from Cloud9 Vortex. Looks like they don't want to commit too much here, though.
Well, Barrel Boys knows exactly where Taza is. He's holding down that bottom temple. They are at least trading it out. This will be at least 1 keep for Barrel Boys. I'm not entirely too sure where Cloud9 is going to get off this train, but Syracuse and Zizix, you know, they're trying to do their poking. Erho, unfortunately, just does not really care too much for your poking. He is a very tanky guy with double healer at his back. And as long as he stays on this point, the damage will continue. There goes 1 keep. Or look, the gate in the mid is now gone. We're working on the keep. It's very possible that it will drop in this rotation. And neither team, as you said, is ready to commit. They want that 20. The worst feeling in the world is to lose a very important team fight just before you could have won it with a level 20 and a little patience.
So the next temple phase is going to be paramount for both of these teams. As with that bottom keep and that 1 lone tower.
Oh, Taza. Taza.
Right there. Oh, Taza. He's got it. Stage dive out. Whew, that was close. Thankfully, he had stage dive out. However, now stage dive is on cooldown for 100 seconds. So that is a small advantage, but an advantage nonetheless. Going away at Barrel Boys. So now ETC isn't going to be able to, you know, roam around the map and split push, which isn't a big factor anyways, as both of these teams have level 20. So that's not as much of a priority as it was earlier throughout the entire course of this match.
Illidan doesn't have Blink.
Oh yeah, he went with the demonic form. It's just, I think it's just because of the massive amount of CC that Barrel Boys has, that it has built-in relentless. So I actually agree with that decision. There's so much CC going on, they need to mitigate that CC as much as they possibly can.
Now, Trumbull's actually really far forward, and Bobby Hankill said not dealing with that this time. He actually is going to bolt away instead of towards, but I don't like this positioning for the Barrel Boys. I think this could actually be absolutely devastating. As Taza goes in, the Apocalypse doesn't really look like it hit the Lily. It doesn't. Syracuse now in the back as well. He's not looking hurt whatsoever, and we are slowly retreating here from the barrels. Hyanda is still alive despite that. And oh, Trauma, he gets shrink ray, and now it's going to be Zizix. He's looking for the kill, but he can't get it. Instead, it's going to be Taza, the skin of his teeth that blink forward. Arrow, he got him. He put Fan into a corner. Fan is waiting on those cooldowns. He needs to get out of this. There goes the Diablo, because now he's stuck in the corner. He's going to be back in 5, though. We need to back up from the barrels, but it's not enough. Tyrande is going to drop as well to the focus fire, and it was a 2-kill-for-1 by the end of it. I just... Fan and that demonic form with that CC reduction. You're totally right on that.
Red team's core.
It paid off in dividends right there, man. Now this temple phase is so very important. Cloud9 Vortex did get 2 kills, but unfortunately one of those kills was on Diablo, and look, he's already back at that top temple. His presence is known, and he's going to be getting it. With this keep and these towers going down, the core is going to be exposed to Cloud9 Vortex. Even if Cloud9 Vortex gets a team fight that goes their way again like this, that means in the temple phase after this, all Barrel Boys has to do is get 1 full temple, and they will win the game. So Cloud9 Vortex is definitely on the back foot right now. They are going to be able to get this keep in the mid lane, which is going to help mitigate a little. Actually, no, not even the keep in the middle lane is going to go down. So this is definitely a very awkward position for Cloud9 Vortex to be in. They have a lot of decisions to make, and they're going to have to be quick thinking decisions to be made. Very, very critical that they make the right decision at the right time according to what's going on the map.
The ETC is up. He has the stage dive. I was curious to see if we were going to try to time his resurrection with an engage. Tyrande has now just joined us back into the world of the living, and Kianda is really trying to just come here with the rest of the team, but Taza into the back finds Kianda, and that's going to put Airho in a little bit of a sticky situation. Blinks aplenty. The Apocalypse hits Syracuse. The Lily Cups are still ticking away, and unfortunately, there goes the Vala on the back of it. Fan is now going to be looking for a little bit of an escape route, but he goes right back into it. They're looking for Trumbo. Trumbo's now stuck, but it's enough. Illidan gets stunned out. That's going to be a kill. Here comes the auto attacks. That's ETC. One more here for Syracuse, and 1, 2, 3, and 4. They're going for the ace, and Zizix is not the last out of this one. He might put him on a wild goose chase, but that is almost for sure. Game, Shane Gucher, our winners are looking like they're going to be the Barrels, once more solidifying their spot as #1 here in the ESL Community Cup, ESL Go4Heroes.
Week number 14, congratulations to Barrel Boys. They continue the streak, only dropping 1 game this entire tournament. So well done by the men. They are looking so good. They're getting better and better. Credit to Cloud9 Vortex. Those were some great games. That last team fight, the team fight before that, was just, they were great team fights, great rotations. The communication between them was on point. And just so you know, you nailed it with the Nexus Frenzy, Sergeant Hammer.
Yeah. I saw that, yeah.
They are on a tear right now, man. They are on fire. They're feeling confident. And I believe they have some ESL major games later this week. Don't quote me on that. I have to look at that later. But if they do have ESL major games later this week, they got to be feeling good going into that, man, because they are just playing so damn well. Some of the best heroes of the storm I have seen coming out of Barrel Boys. So well done, ladies and gentlemen. Give them a round of applause. They are your week number 14 champions.
Oh, the Barrels, man. That was the saltiest run back I have ever seen.
It really was.
Cloud9 Vortex loses out game number 2 on Sky Tempo. For game 3, same ban, same first pick, second, third, fourth, fifth, same lane, same players on the same heroes, and they still lose. Their end result is that they still lose. Oh my gosh. I mean, we're gonna have to give them a salt injection after this just to replace those fluids that they're missing. But good games were said. The sportsmanship was there. Cloud9 Vortex will take second place here in Cup number 14. Barrel Boys, $100 in their pocket and back-to-back first place seedings here into the month of March, which means they're almost guaranteed now for the ESL monthly qualifications for March, just with 2 out of 4 cups under their belt.
Yeah, well deserved by them, man. Sean, thank you so much for having me come out and co-cast with you. Always a pleasure, my man.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, hope to see you. Why don't you, usually you're the one doing this, but you know what? Let's have a little bit of role reversal. Where can people find you, Sean, on the internet?
Oh, man. Well, I mean, first off, the viewers, 1,000 viewers today. I don't think I got hosted by anybody big. So, big hand to you guys. You came out, you stuck through us. We did this for 5 hours. So we love you all. And if you do like what you see, like what you hear, you can find all my stuff out there. Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, all this stuff will be coming up online on my YouTube in a playlist ready to go in the next 2 days. And yeah, this is what I do. This is what we do. We're looking forward to some feedback on new stream upgrades, new overlays, looking into a sub button. So if that's something you guys would be interested in, let me know in the chat. And, Heroes has been very, very accommodating. So we're very happy to be here doing great work with people like Mr. Shane Gucher. So Shane, you handsome devil, where can people find you?
You can find me on the interwebs. I am on Twitter. It's just just at Shane Gucher. You can find me on Twitch. I'm actually going to be streaming a little bit more now that I have a new job. I'm more flexible with my time. I miss streaming quite a bit. So check me out at Shane Gucher Gaming. You only have a legitimate Twitch channel if it ends in GG, Gaming, or Jester.
Thank you.
And obviously,
you've learned.
Mine qualifies as such. So make sure you guys check me out there. I also cast for Heroes Premier League on the Mondays and Wednesdays at 8:30 Eastern Central Time. Jesus, yes, it's somewhere between the two.
But
Eastern
we are
Standard
actually
Time.
back to Eastern Standard Time with daylight savings today, so it's
Yes.
a good thing to note.
Oh yes, thank you. I always forget I always get confused about that. Time zones aren't my thing.
No worries.
So make sure you guys check me out there. HPL is, a big, long 3-month qualifying tournament that I cast there. So you guys can check me out there as well. Don't miss it because there's been some great games. But thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. Getting to the 4 digits, man. That's awesome, man.
4 digits for the
we were doing
court.
this and we had like 75 people watching. Things are
good.
Feels good, man. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. All right, we are out of here. Last set of thanks to Messiah and Let Go My Legho. They did the alternate stream here for the ESL Go4Heroes Cup number 14. You can find them over at Messiah, at Let Go My Legho. And you can also find them online and play a lot of games with those guys. They're really fun to hang around with, and their commentary today was much appreciated. Big thanks to ESL for having us as well, all the teams that participated, and congratulations to the Barrows for their back-to-back victories. You will see us throughout the week. Hit the buttons on the social media, and at the very least, same time, same place, we will see you here, FourCourtJester channel, for ESL Go4Heroes Americas Cup 15 next Sunday. Until then, guys, have yourselves a wonderful week, and we will see you in the Nexus.